3. Hi, welcome to the Conscious Spirit Podcast.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes. So today we were just, right before we hit record, like, what should we talk about today? And Mari-Lyn, you said, oh, I know. And I said, okay, wait, let's turn on. So what do you know?
Well, I know that there are so many people that think they get off their path.
Oh, okay.
They want to get back on their path.
All right.
They
So
want
the
to
spiritual
stay
journey.
on their path, the spiritual journey.
All right.
And what has come to me very recently is, well, not recently, but we've already talked about, we're never off of our path. We are always on our spiritual journey. We're always on our path. But what has come recently is in those times where we feel like we have veered off of our path has really just gotten wide. Our path has gotten really wide at that point. And there's no focus. We lose our sense of direction.
Mm-hmm.
And in those times when we are on the straight and narrow, when we are doing what we feel like we're supposed to be doing, we are really being guided and communing with spirit on a semi-regular basis, right? Our path, it is more narrow.
Okay.
And we can stay focused and move forward. What I personally believe is that those straight and narrow times of the path are short.
Yes, those I think. So what's coming with the wide, those wide ones. There's a lot of learning to be done within those times of when it's your options are open. What are you going to do with this space? How are you going to maneuver through it? What experiences are you going to have? How are you going to deal with it? Because that's hard. I go through that a lot. Like that feeling, I should be doing something, but I don't know what to do. It's almost like there's so many options. I'm lost. I kind of get lost in the options. And you can fall back on some behaviors that you don't like during that time.
Sure.
Right. Some addictions.
Yes.
Right.
And in those times where the path is wide, it becomes very easy to bypass.
Oof.
There can be so much room that even though it's filled with choices and obstacles and things, we can be overwhelmed. And just nope, not going there. I'm gonna bypass that. Or we trip and fall over some of those things that are in the way. And I think that really feels like falling back on that old.
And you feel like you're stuck in the mud. You feel like you've gone backward. You feel like you've fallen off. You feel like, why aren't things going well? Or why am I so, whatever it is. And I think in today's culture, it's even worse than it used to be, because today we have so much instant gratification all the time. We have our phone. We look at the different apps. We can look at, we have millions of, growing up, we had like 3-4 TV channels, and pretty much, I was not a TV watcher. I really wasn't. It was rare that I watched TV. There just wasn't anything that
I was.
Oh, okay. My husband was too, and I remember all the shows and all of that, like especially the evening ones. My parents, because they told you couldn't watch them with them, so of course those are the ones you'd sneak down the hall, peek around the corner to watch. Yeah, but so now when we're sort of faced with that, like you said, the big part of our path, when the path opens up and expands, what's coming now is, oh boy, what comes now, I have to form this, is something about your character. Um, what are you going to do? It's kind of like your character shows the much. Whoo! My channels are opening. um, it's about your character at those times. How are you going to stand upright? How are you going to do the things that need to be done? You're not under a time crunch. No one's telling you you need to do something. Spirit's not leading you in a particular direction. You are left to your own devices. You are really sort of left to maneuver through this. Do you
So
know
building
where I'm going?
building on your character
Yes, thank you.
as opposed to tearing down from your character.
Yes,
Because
yes,
we each have our individual character,
yes,
but it's what I'm hearing as you were talking was these are opportunities to build on that character.
yes. Well, and either way,
Or yeah,
and
or
really,
rip it down.
there is no. So speaking spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
and spiritually here, there is no. They're just choices. You can choose if you tear yourself down at that time. There's a lesson there for you to learn. If you choose to build yourself up and find positive things to do that are good for you, good for yourself, that also is a lesson. So everything is about a lesson, but what do you want to do with that time? And that's free will right there, total free will.
Total free will.
So maybe that's that big part when the
path.
What it? Yes, man, I'm stumbling today. That's really sort of a test of your character, a test of your free will. How are you going to use that time? And I think that does say a lot about us personally, what we do within that time.
Yeek.
Right? Don't you think?
Eek.
Eek. And when the path narrows and we get very focused and we know where we're going and we know what we're doing, there's a lot of stability in that. And there's a lot of I know what I'm doing, I know what my character is, I know what's happening, and you kind of go along with, at least that's the way I feel when that happens, when spirit shows up and said, okay, here's this is what you need to be doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that really well when I'm told what my objective is.
Yeah.
This is where you're going, and I can do that.
But being left to our own devices, to our own
Yes.
our own instinct.
Yes.
Or ego.
Yes.
Or emotions.
Yes. Yes. Uh-huh.
We get discombobulated.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We really do. I know for me, it's very easy for me to lead with emotion when I'm in that wide space.
Right.
And
mine is ego.
Double water.
Right. Yes. Yes. Right. So that leads into what we've been talking about lately, just on a personal level. I think I mentioned it in the last Pam Ponders about the navigational system.
Navigation.
I did mention that in Pam Ponders.
You did. And yes, if we're on a path, We have to navigate.
We have to navigate.
We have to.
And often our navigational system is sometimes broken, sometimes skewed, sometimes just not pointing in the right direction. That's where a lot of healing comes from, right? And a lot of
I see like spark plugs missing.
yes. Yes. And those of you who've had a healing with me, you know that spirit comes in and recalibrates spark. I see them as spark plugs. So
yeah,
because we need that. We have, as a child, we had to navigate without having correct equipment. We didn't know. We are all feeling, right? When you're a kid, you're all feeling. You're trying to stay safe. There's all of these things going on. There's chaos. Even, and I'm going to say this because I've had people say this to me. Well, I had a great childhood. I don't know where my wounding would come from. That's completely understandable. And there are people who have beautiful childhoods.
Can I also say that's almost irrelevant?
Yes.
It is irrelevant.
I mean, to yell at you.
Yes. It is irrelevant because great childhood.
Yeah.
You're still getting wounded.
Yay.
You're still getting wounded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. And I'd like to explain a little more about that. So typically, when we're parents, that's usually 20s and 30s is a typical range of when you're a parent. You're not healed yet. You haven't even begun to heal. Well, some people might in their 30s kind of begin to heal, but you haven't. So you are still carrying that baggage from childhood. So myself, I had my children in my late 20s. I had therapy, a couple batches of therapy by that time. And I understood a lot of my abuses as a child. I had sort of clarity on it. That doesn't mean healing. Clarity and healing are different.
Yep.
I knew what I didn't want to be. I knew the mom I did not want to be. And I tried very hard in those areas to be the opposite of my mother and opposite of how I was raised. Then I get older and I start healing, and it's like, oh no, there were things that I did from my trauma I didn't even know I was doing. I did not even know that I was doing those things. So it's not, and that comes, so when someone says I had a great childhood, say like my children, I think my children, and they will tell you they had a great childhood. However, mom was pretty wounded. I'm not going to talk about my husband was a great dad and great husband, but I mean, he had his things too, but it's not my story to tell. My story is I had wounding that I will say it, in growing up, being shamed was my family's way of controlling. I didn't realize that I did the same thing with my children. I honestly did not see it. I did not see it. There was, because that's real, that trauma, that wounding, there's a lot of it that you don't see your behaviors, the way you express that. It becomes part of your fabric.
Right.
It becomes part of that navigational system too. So it wasn't until I started healing it all that I went, oh my God. And of course, then the shame, the shame for shaming.
Yeah. But, I want to interject one thing.
Yeah.
Because you said it becomes part of your fabric, becomes part of your navigation. It can be something where people say, well, that's just who she is.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's just who she is.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
No.
They normalize something that should not be normalized.
That's maybe who she's become.
Right.
But who she is makes it sound like that is foundational. That is,
she can't change it. There's no big deal.
Right.
Everyone else has to just deal with it and figure it out. She gets a pass because that's just who she is.
Just who she is. And that's not doing anybody any favors.
No, not at all. Not
No.
at all.
So just wanted to
Yes.
throw that in there.
Yes. So you can have a beautiful childhood.
Yeah.
But your parents are still wounded, and that wounding comes through in different ways. Does it mean abuse? No. There is a difference between abuse and not being just kind of having, your mom or dad had wounding and they put that on you. That's not always abuse. I don't know I haven't thought that one through to
So
give the correct verbiage to it.
I I think you would agree with me. I did not suffer abuse as a child.
Right.
Well, I had two older sisters, so however, that's,
Take that as you will.
however, I also had parents that used shaming.
Yes.
And well, I think part of that was that generation,
Yes.
Yes, that's just how it has come down the history of humanity. I didn't suffer abuse, but wounding, lots of it. And a lot of it stemmed from that shaming.
Yes.
Where I lead with emotion,
Yes.
that emotion goes both ways. It goes inward and outward. And boy, man, I took that shame to heart, literally.
Yes.
So.
And I'm going to add to that.
Yeah.
This does not mean you go blame your parents for anything. This does not mean
No.
That's not. There's nothing good comes out of that.
No.
For you, for them, for anyone. It's
No.
about you coming to terms with what happened and how you responded to that. That's your responsibility.
Yes. Yes. Beautifully put.
Yes. So I'm not sure how we got off on it. I'm sure I said something and went off in a different direction than what we originally were talking about. But I guess it's part of being on our path and healing, and
it is. And navigating through all of these obstacles when our path is at its widest.
That's it. Yes.
And how our wounding affects that. And that isn't just who we are.
Right. No, it is not.
It's not who we are. It is a factor. And it is a factor in who we are. The goal is to make it no factor.
No factor.
No factor.
No factor. Love that term. No factor.
By acknowledging it, by being able to see it, recognize it, acknowledge it, heal it. And then it's a no factor.
It's no factor.
It's no longer how you operate and how you navigate. It's not who you are.
Right. And what we can do is during those times. So that goes back to during those times when the path is really wide.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be?
I just got chills. Head to toe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be? That's your test right there. When that path widens up, you have all that downtime. It feels, for me, feels like downtime. That it can feel other ways. And this is just an example. Okay. So the path, you feel like you have all this downtime. What are you going to do? That's your strength of character. What are you going to do? How are you going to build yourself up? And like you said, instead of tear yourself down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and it's so.
How do you navigate that? And when you have wounding, it's hard to navigate that in a positive, compassionate way for yourself.
It is.
For your body, Deva. Like, I could sit on the sofa for hours and watch TV. What I should have probably done was got up and exercised and gave my body deva some love.
Yeah. You know what I just realized
Hmm.
was you were talking about that downtime
Mhm.
and you feel like there's something you should be doing, but there's nothing.
Yeah.
I am kind of the opposite end of that spectrum where there is so much to do. And
Oh.
a lot of this for me is actual 3D things to
Yep.
do. There's so much to do. I get overwhelmed and I shut down and I do nothing.
Yes.
Who do I want to be? Yikes. Do I want to be that person
I have to write that down. Who do I want to be?
that just shuts it off instead of being that person
Right.
that says, okay, I'm overwhelmed.
Mhm.
There's so much to do. What is one thing? What is one simple thing that I could do?
Yep. Just one.
One thing. Because that's all we can do anyway, is one thing at a time.
Right. Right. And
Yes, there's multitasking, but
yeah.
really, you know, my husband has this saying, how do you eat an elephant?
Oh, yes, I've heard that.
One bite at a
At a
time.
time. Yes. So
Yeah. That's all you can do. And I'm very quick to that overwhelm. Okay, I don't know what to do. There's too much.
so I'm just going to do nothing.
I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to turn on the TV.
Yes. That
That's
reminds
a bad habit.
yes. That reminds me of our youngest son when we would tell him we learned we could not do this after making this mistake a couple times. Go clean your room. It's just a mess. And then we'd go in there a little while longer. He'd be sitting there playing with something.
Yep.
But it was overwhelming to him. He didn't know where to start or what to do. Then we went, oh, after a couple times of that, it was like, okay, so I need to go in there with him, help him get organized, help him. And so we started doing like, okay, let's pick up everything that's yellow. We'd start there. And then you work on, and now he's a pretty organized dude as a grown man. He's I don't know how much we helped him with that or not. I think it was mostly his wife that helped him with that, but give her credit.
But there was a foundation built there.
Yes. But that's when that path opens up like that. What can you do? Well, start with everything that's yellow, then go to everything that's, put it in its place, and then blue. But, in that,
my brain is going, okay, what's this room that's yellow that I
you gotta love that. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. And then if you do, let's say you fall back into addiction during that time, or you fall back into whatever those bad habits are or whatever, the first thing to do is to not beat yourself up.
Right.
To understand what you did and why you did it.
Yep.
Get to the why. For me, the why is always so important. Sometimes the why is not important. Sometimes I go a little crazy with the why.
Sometimes the why can turn into a bypass.
Yes, ma'am. And I do that very well, as you know.
And what's coming is moderation. I really hate that word. Yes. Moderation. But it's true.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes the why and the because are just bypasses.
Yeah. So when we reach that point of saturation,
ooh, good
and
word.
It goes beyond,
Mm-hmm.
There's something to look at.
Yes.
In really in anything we do.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. Yeah. So
there is another thing here, and I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure. This was way from the beginning when we started this podcast. I don't remember when we started it, a few minutes ago, though. Anyway, developing is not the journey, is what I wrote down. And I want to explain that.
Oh.
Yes, we get that a lot. People, we talk about the journey and the spiritual journey and healing, etc. And people contact us because they want to start that journey. What they're really saying is, I want to develop my psychic abilities.
Yes.
Those are really different things.
Yes.
One is part of the other. There is a part of your journey that can be developing, but that's not the journey in itself. That is not the journey in itself. And so, yeah, of course. I mean, I, for a long time, helped people. I was a teacher who helped people develop. That's all I did. It really wasn't about the spiritual journey for me when I first, my spiritual journey, but people that came to me, it wasn't. It was all about just helping them develop and everything. And that's when I really realized so much more about this journey for everyone, and just developing is just a piece of it. And it's not even a piece for everyone. It's not a piece for everyone.
It's not a piece for everyone.
No.
Mm-mm.
So,
and it doesn't matter how bad you want it.
No.
That doesn't make it so.
No. And part of that, really, the journey is navigating through this life, navigating through your wounding and your traumas and healing them, and who do I want to be? And how to be that person. That's your spiritual journey. And even people who don't even believe in a higher power of any sort, they're still on their spiritual journey. So it's
absolutely.
not even about bringing spirit in. For us, it is. We teach that because that's our journey, is to open people up to spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And to our energetic spiritual beings, that part of us. But you're always on your journey, whether you believe in spirit or not. But developing is a piece of that, but it's not all of it at all. By any means, it's like actually quite a small piece of it, a very small piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and it intertwines with so many other portions of the journey. I mean, it's not just like one little pathway of the journey.
yes, correct.
It intertwines with healing,
yeah,
and expanding.
And those who want to develop their abilities, can you develop without healing? Sure, but you can only go so far, and spirit's going to clobber you. I've never met someone who, well, okay, they're developed and then refuse to look at their healing. Yes, we see that all the time. They bypass, and they refuse to look at what they need to do. And you know what? Your development stalls. And it doesn't just stall, it starts slipping away from you. And those are the people who they come more out of their ego than their channel. When it comes to like readings and whatever it is that they're doing, it becomes more ego. They get to the point where if you don't heal, if you don't start looking at your shit, spirit just stops you. And then at that point you get a little confused and you're like, wait a minute, because I did a little bit of that. That's when Fred let me know the truth about this journey and the truth about the healing and everything, because I was healing and I was developing, but not together. Wow, I didn't realize that until just now. So a lot of it for me was I was developing on this side of the street, I was healing on this side of the street, and I didn't bring them together.
We don't belong on both sides of the street.
No, we do not.
We don't.
No. When I brought them together, that's when, first of all, my abilities exploded once I started healing through spirit and healing the way Fred brought that in that whole healing journey. Wow. Okay, there you go. So y'all heard it here first. Pam just had a revelation. Yes. And it's getting really dark in here all of a sudden.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
I noticed that got
But we're
dark.
gonna leave it that way because I don't want to have to get up and do stuff, but
You start messing with things and then
then
who
it
knows?
just then it's just bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes. So where did we start on this whole thing? So this is spiritual journey. So what happens,
Yes.
Mari-Lyn,
Yes.
when let's talk about when the path narrows. What does that mean? What is spirit asking us to do? What is that? We just talked a lot about when it opens up. We probably still have a lot more to talk about when it opens up too. But we're not going to do a 5-hour podcast here.
What's coming right now is that it is a period of rest,
Okay.
of not so much growth,
Okay.
because we've
Yes.
there's so much learning,
Yes.
so much learning that we do, and growth isn't the right word, but maybe there's not so much healing, there's not so many lessons.
So really, on some level, spirit is giving us a break at that time.
Giving us a break, giving us the opportunity to expand into our lessons.
Okay.
So we expand, but the path isn't so much expanding. So we can fill the path.
So we garnered some sort of information when the path was big, whatever
Yep.
that information.
Yep.
And then it comes together for us to then walk the talk or
Put that into practice.
And it becomes very focused. We know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We understand life. We have all the answers.
Well,
yeah.
we may not have all the answers, but we have a better sense of how to get the answers.
Yes. Very true. Yeah.
And it's
getting so dark. What is happening over here?
We navigate best case scenario, we navigate from that instinctual place of being human.
Serpent.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, and that's why I said that what they were showing me was the path is so big and then it gets narrow, but those narrow times can really seem short-lived.
Yeah, very short-lived. Yes.
And that's because we have so much more to learn.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why it feels like we get off our path.
Yes.
Because the path is so narrow and we're focused and we're moving along.
And then all of a sudden it opens up.
We're over here.
Yeah.
Well,
it opened up.
It opened up. We didn't fall off.
No.
We veered off. It got bigger and we didn't realize it. We were still following that edge. And that edge just went. Pretty soon we're way out here.
Yes.
Our focus is still here. And we're like, I can't see anymore.
Yes. Yes. Whew. So our spiritual journey. This is a big.
Wow, you got even darker.
I know. I'm going to see if I can. You just keep talking, and I'm going to. I want to say more about I do want to talk about in a bigger picture of what the spiritual journey is for us. But let me see if I can get some other light going on in here or something.
So,
but it started really. The weather got icky outside. And it's. That better? A little better?
A little better. I
don't want to turn on too much or open the blinds up too much because then it's just blinds are blinding. Blinding. So our spiritual journey is that, oh, there's so many areas, so many ways you could go through this. We do choose what we want to do. So before we come in to a life, and we've had many lives, we choose what we want to learn in this lifetime. We come down very specifically. We choose our family, we choose our race, we choose everything, right? We choose it all. And then we come down, and that's, I mean, even when we're on the other side, that's part of our journey too. But this is like school. So we take time out to go to school and to learn and to grow and to open spiritually to even people who come down who don't believe in spirit. They don't believe, they think when we die, that's it, done. We're just dust. Nothing happens. That's part of their journey. They wanted to come down and experience life, not knowing that they have a safety net, not knowing that they have beautiful spiritual beings walking beside them every step of the way. So our spiritual journey is very, very personal to each of us, what that means. Yet we're all in it together. Many of us come down, like you and I have had a very different life, Mari-Lyn.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we both know what it's like to be shamed. We both know what codependence feels like. So we have, so as a collective, we come down, and there's a lot of things that we want to learn about. We want to eradicate. We want to learn on a bigger scale. So our spiritual journey really is, as we've talked about all the time, the purpose is to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Come down, get our ass kicked, and then heal it. So our spiritual journey is walking through this lifetime, sharing it with our body deva, sharing it with other people, learning to love us, love others, be, have a high sense of character. That's what we, to rise above in times of difficulties, and not lash out at other people, not hate, though we experience all of that. So the spiritual journey is really about us becoming who we're meant to be in this lifetime, to become that beautiful, loving person. So and as I'm saying that, I can think of some people who are coming into my mind who think they're the most loving, caring people in the world. And on some level they are, yet they're so judgmental. This is not about, they compare themselves to others. Well, I'm better than that person, so I must be doing okay. Do you know where I'm going with that? Yes. Yeah. We see that a lot. Everyone does. Everyone listening can say, oh yeah, I know people like that. Or, ooh, yeah, I'm like that.
Mm-hmm. I've done it.
Yeah. It's not about judging yourself against other people. It's not saying, well, I'm better than you because of this or that. Yes. Or I'm not going to get into this, but I'm just going to say the sort of political framework in our country right now is you literally hate someone because they're on the other side of the aisle.
Mm.
And that is not who we're meant to be.
No.
We're not meant to hate. We're meant to work through that and say, okay, that's still a soul. That's still someone who's come down to be a human being and trudge through this shit with us. We're all in this together, walking through this crap, and learning how to love even those people who disagree with us or have a different opinion, etc. That's all part of the experience of being human. That's all part of our spiritual journey. Yes. Right. So anyway.
Yeah.
Yabba dabba doo. So, I think it's getting dark again. The weather outside is I don't know if we're going to start having a storm soon. We get big winds here. Wind and rain is a
Yeah, the wind picked up overnight,
Yeah.
and the window that's in front of me, I have to have it closed, or that would be all kinds of
Yes. My windows are right in front of you. Yes, but it's getting darker out there. The rain is coming, the wind, the overcast stuff. Yeah, so it's just getting. So anyway, the spiritual journey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a big one.
it's a big one. It is. And well, we hope we gave you some things to think about today. We always try to bring something, some food for thought. And it certainly has me now thinking more about my character. And in those times, because right now, to be honest, my path is really opened up right now. And the strength of my character, I guess that's where I need to sort of start thinking about. Okay, those were you all speak Pam, right? You get what I was actually trying to say, right? Oh boy.
Oh,
So
I think they got it.
I do too. They're
I
smart.
think so.
And they know us. So anyway, thank you so much for is this a good place to stop? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna quickly, I do Pam Ponders, and that's just on our podcast. So it's just for listening, and at theconsciousspirit.net or your favorite app, you can find that. Yeah. We still have our other channel, our paranormal channel. We just have not had anyone we're not doing the reactions anymore. So when people come to us and want us to clear their homes, we do that all the time. And still, it's hard to get people to agree to allowing us to put it on our channel. So as soon as someone comes along and wants it on our channel, we will absolutely do that. And we do try to get them to, but we don't push too hard, because it's, that's very personal, letting
very personal thing,
letting people into your home like that. So all right. And you still have your podcast, Mari-Lyn?
I do. Mari-Lyn in Recovery. It's not weekly, but it's
Pam Ponders is pretty
not gone, so
nope, not at all. No, and it's beautiful. And yeah. If you want to get a hold of us, tcseveryday.psychics.com, and all the information is below. Wherever you're listening or watching, you can find all the information. We'd love to hear from you. You can find out more about us on our website. Thank you very much for listening to us today. This was a great conversation. I still have so much going on in my brain right now. I still have a lot of thinking happening about this whole the character piece. That really set for me. That's really got me thinking quite a bit right now. So I think when we stop this, I'm going to take some time to contemplate that and really think about, maybe even meditate on it. So nice. Yeah. All right. We are so very grateful. We'd love to hear from you about your experience with this podcast and whatever it is that we say that has struck you. We'd like to hear about that too, whether you leave a comment on YouTube or you email us, however that works for you. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.